It's time to fire it up on a Monday night. This is the Monday Smash presented by State Farm agent and longtime loyal Nole, Russ Voorhis, alongside Matt Lasser, the Swiss Army knife of Warchant.com with a specialist in recruiting. He specializes in recruiting. My name is Tom Lang. We are bringing the Monday Smash to you live on Eastern time at 7:04. There are a lot of Warchant staff that are on Ireland time. Pretty cool content coming for you later in the program tonight. Exclusive stuff that we have not released yet on our channel, Warchant TV. You get a little bit of a taste of what the experience is going to be like for Nole fans in Dublin next year. Two extended looks, one with Jeff Cameron and me talking, another with a stand-up featuring Jeff and Ira from Aviva Stadium. Pretty cool stuff. It has been a jam-packed week, even though it's the final week that's slow, Matt. Florida State has the ACC kickoff in Charlotte starting next Tuesday. The Noles arrive on Wednesday, but now is recruiting season. And I understand that there are some things that are dead, but Florida State's recruiting momentum is alive and well. Good sir, how are you tonight?
Good, man. I'm good. It's good to be on first appearance on live Warchant TV, so that's always good. Try cooking in a crock pot today. See how that goes. But yeah, we're looking good today.
Yeah, number 9 now in the On3 industry rankings, Matt, and that's because Florida State got a yes from a local product over the weekend. It's been a long time lean. He's been leading so hard he's falling over in Makai Danzy. But can you talk to me a little bit about that circumstance and how Florida State closed the deal there and how they got their way into the top 10? What's happened in the last week?
Yeah, obviously the momentum has been off the charts since July 1st with D.D. Holmes, Makai Danzy, throw Ricky Knight in there. Got a bunch of guys who have just decided to finally join the ship. For Danzy, I mean, this is one that we've thought is coming for a while, and he just finally decided to pop. You got the video with him doing the war chant, the chop in front of Doak already. If you've seen his film, man, is he fast. Really, really fast. He's quick and cut. He's almost like a new Lawrence Toafili. That's how he's been, or running backs coach David Johnson has kind of pitched his role on the team would be to him. And he has embraced that fully, and he's very excited to do that in Tallahassee.
Well, Makai Danzy forms one half of what will be a Thunder and Lightning backfield for Florida State in that 2024 class. That running back room is as loaded as I've seen it in a long, long time when you're talking about the present, the near future, and then the future with the 2024 class. You've got Trey Benson and Lawrence Toafili leading the way this year, but right behind them, Rodney Hill, Keziah Holmes, Sam Singleton coming in from the high school ranks, CJ Campbell, and now a Thunder and a Lightning component. Matt, just from what you've seen, I mean, you've covered the game via scouting things, like you made trips to the Elite 11 in your past lives. You've seen a lot of high school tape, and obviously you're covering now a premier program at Florida State and what they bring in recruiting-wise. This seems like it's a very nice, cogent plan that they have at running back with a bruiser like Cam Davis, who's a plus athlete across the board, but then a leaner and faster Makai Danzy.
Yeah, just exactly that. I mean, we've seen throughout, at least like having a Coach Johnson here and all that kind of stuff, he likes to switch out running backs and likes to use multiple. They all have different, or they all have their pluses, right? Like Trey Benson isn't Lawrence Toafili, and it's not Rodney Hill. They're going to use 4 or 5 running backs throughout the whole season this year, and they're just loading up to keep doing that throughout the future. And you could even see that go into the 2025 class as well later on.
So let's talk about the 2024 class real quick. We're going to bring in recruiting analyst and senior recruiting analyst at that, Michael Langston, in just a couple of moments. But we've got a couple of things on the horizon here, Matt. You got Charles Lester at the end of the month, KJ Bolden at the beginning of August. How high do you think Florida State's class could go? Because right now it stands at number 9. People were kind of panicking a week or two ago saying, where is that momentum? Well, now Florida State could go a lot higher than just number 9 in the recruiting rankings. How high do you think they could go?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see us at the top 5 level by the time we get to that August, if we can land these guys like Lester, Bolden. Obviously, there's been a lot of smoke in the last few weeks. You could even see Michael, who's about to come on, even said on another On3 podcast, I think it was Inside Scoop, that this has been something that's building up for him, and we're just starting to see that he's got Florida State's within reach here. It's not as much just Georgia and Ohio State as we thought. And Lester, obviously, he's been here this whole time. He's always been close. He's even said he's most comfortable with this Florida State recruiting staff and Coach Norvell. The sky's the limit. I could see top 5 and maybe even top 3.
Well, we'll also see some Florida State team coverage this week. Matt's going to be joining me over at the stadium. That is Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field. 9:30 on Wednesday morning, Florida State making 2 players available to the media. It's that time, folks. We've got one more off-season set of workout interviews that will be with Tatum Bethune, Renardo Green, 9:30 on Wednesday. Matt's going to have the coverage for you, social media-wise, and the threads on the Tribal Council, and then also we'll have full coverage with video and written articles on warchant.com. That's all ahead of ACC kickoff next week. You're coming to Charlotte with us, right?
I am. I'm excited.
All right. Have you ever been to the ACC kickoff before?
I've not been in the ACC kickoff. I've stayed in that where they're holding it for ACC championship once, but I've not been to the media days.
Well, here's hoping it's your first ACC kickoff and your last, because Florida State is out of the conference. But Matt, we appreciate the job you're doing for us at Warchant, and we will talk to you soon. And obviously, be on the lookout on the boards on Wednesday for Matt. Thanks, Matt. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right. That is Matt Lasser. He is one half of the recruiting operation, the man who has been in charge of this here recruiting at warchant.com for multiple decades now, it feels like. Michael Langston is in the building. What's up, Michael? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How did you not get brought over to Dublin? That's what I want to know. Why is Tom back at home, not in Dublin, and Jeff gets all the fun?
Well, Jeff gets more fun in life than I do in general. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, though, I'm going to be making my way over next year. So it's basically like, do you want to go now or do you want to go for the game? I'll take the game. Although, Michael, I'm pretty freaking jealous because these features we're going to roll here. They did a whiskey tasting today. I mean, good Lord. That's just the tip of the iceberg for them, too.
I tell you, man, exciting times and great exclusive stuff. You're going to find that anywhere. You're going to be there all week just previewing what's going to be, and got me jealous watching Jeff at the stadium, just looking at the different ways. I'm like, man, I hope if I'm going, when I go there, I'm in the upper deck, because, man, that lower deck seems to be a tough C for the game.
Yeah, that's more for soccer than football, isn't it? I would agree with you. I think the farther back or the higher up you are, that's probably the better seats. Only 50,000 seats in that stadium.
Yeah.
So, in that regard, it's going to be very intimate. It's going to be a really cool setting. I can't wait to see it with my own eyes, but it looked fantastic today. And that's what's coming up again. If you're just joining us on Monday Smash, nearly 200 of you with us, hit the like button underneath the video. Subscribe to Warchant TV. It's absolutely free. This is the Monday Smash presented by State Farm agent and longtime Nole, Russ Voorhis. I know Michael knows Russ. Anybody who works with Warchant knows Russ. He goes way back. He's one of the original sponsors of this here website. We'll tell you more about him in a little bit. But in that chat section, if you have questions for Michael Langston, we got about 15, 20 minutes with Michael before we throw to some of the content from Dublin. So feel free to fire off in the chat. I'm going to start reading those and then posting them. But, Michael, how about an overview of what a week of momentum it's been for FSU now that they're in the top 10?
Yeah, I mean, I've expected this to come eventually. As I told people, I'm kind of keeping a list of, and I'll update tonight. I haven't updated yet, but just the ones that visited officially in June, that a lot of FSU's landed, 7 in the month of July. I think there'll be likely more. I think it's a great run. It's a great push, and this is kind of what we saw last year, where they made their push. They pushed in there, waited till the end of the summer, bam, jump on it, and then you have the LSU big game. I think that's kind of orchestrated the way they wanted to do it, and certainly they have a lot of momentum. And, man, could they really see some serious major momentum with these 2 big ones coming up in KJ Bolden and Charles Lester.
Yep. People want definitive statements, Michael. I know that this recruiting is a long process, but Kelly, with the first question, this was before the show even started.
Okay.
I tweeted out, if you got recruiting questions for us, let us know. And Kelly jumped right in and says, do we close the deal with KJ? How do you feel about Florida State as it relates to KJ Bolden?
Mark, I saw Mark's comment on there. Is the Bolden momentum real? It is real. I would have probably laughed at it if I saw it 2 or 3 weeks ago, or even a month ago. But I do think it's real. I do think it's significant that I got enough from people that would know. Chad Simmons is also very dialed in to everything when it comes to national stuff, especially kids from the state of Georgia, and he acknowledged, like, look, this is real. So there is real momentum. Now they have to finish the job, but I think the momentum is certainly with FSU the most I would hear out of any school. So I think, and people ask the next questions like, why, what happened, and I would say mainly the last 2 visits he took one in the spring, then took another one in the summer. So the one in the summer was kind of surprised. We didn't know he was just going to pop in there, and he popped in there. And I think what resonates with him was looking for a reason of why FSU. Why give him a reason why to come to FSU. We know that's his dream school, but I think what resonated with him was what they've done with Jamie Robinson at safety position, what this program is ascending to, where they're going, the roster and how the roster looks now. They look like a top 5, top 10 program. And that's resonating with him. And two, just the feeling he gets when he's there. It's a different, unique feeling compared to a lot of different places. And I think the momentum is certainly real. Now, like I said, they still have to finish it, but right now the momentum is the strongest it's been, I would say, for KJ Bolden.
Is it overly simplified, Michael, to say that it's because of Coach Samuel, Coach Surtain at Florida State, now defensive backs coach Patrick Surtain? Is it oversimplified to say it's simply because he's there and his connections Florida State is making inroads, or how would you answer that question?
I would say it's a combination of him and Adam Fuller. Adam's kind of the ugly duckling of the staff because he gets all the beating when things aren't good. But Adam's done a phenomenal job with I think KJ, and two, I think adding a guy like Patrick Surtain is major because that's a guy that's top of the line when it comes to development. He does an incredible job. I think that's taken them to another level of knowing somebody that's going to develop you. When you get there, not just one coach, but multiple coaches. And I think that's both those guys have certainly made a strong push and putting FSU in this position to possibly, God willing, for their sake, pull it off.
Yeah. Tom Kirkpatrick wants to know. He's on Facebook asking a question. Usually the ratio is like 95-5, YouTube to Facebook. But Tom, we see you there. Do you think JoJo sticks with his Miami commitment? That would be JoJo Trader. What do you think, Michael?
I'm skeptical. He does. I think the season's going to matter to him. I think he's got a lot of schools that want him. Ohio State, we know we're pushing for him. We know FSU. I've said that for a long time, that FSU, and he hasn't really taken any official visits. So for me to be skeptical is just kind of stating the obvious, like, hey, the grass is green on your lawn. Because, he hasn't taken any official visits. He's going to take one more than likely to FSU, I think, probably, late in around the October thing where he wants to see a good, exciting kind of atmosphere and just experience all that stuff. But I think there was a lot of pressure too when he originally committed to Miami. I'm sure they put the pressure on, like, hey, stay home, play for your city, and I'm sure that was in there. But I'm skeptical that it sticks for sure. I think I'm skeptical that it does. So I think this one's a long ways from being just ironclad and ink to paper and done deal. I think FSU is definitely going to keep pushing. I think other schools are going to keep pushing. So I think, and if Miami goes out there and looks like Miami did last year, it's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to him.
Stating the obvious, like there's less room in Miami's IPF to get work done. There's just less space to conduct drills and do all that kind of stuff. Cameron wants to know, Michael, what do you think about recruiting for the offensive line and defensive line? I know we've done this, and you could go to Warchant TV and find the videos of the commitments from last week. Florida State landed 2 of them on the offensive line. Michael had thoughts on it. But for the Smash audience presented by State Farm agent Russ Forhis, what do you think?
I love what they're doing on the offensive line. I have no complaints. Both of the guys they landed, and Ty Hilton and Jonathan Daniels, were both coveted guys. I've told people this many times. It's not a great 2024 class out there overall. So I think these were the 2 guys that they circled, and they landed both of the guys they circled. I think outside of those 2, they weren't really thrilled with the other ones in there. And I think they're excited about 2025, and they feel like they can load up on 2025. They already lead for 3 or 4 of those guys on there. Peyton Joseph, a 4-star inside offensive lineman. Max Buchanan's another inside guy that I think they lead for. And then also they lead for Zaire Addison, who's a 4-star offensive tackle. So I think they position themselves so well in 2025 that you don't want to overload each class of what you got, because they already have some nice, talented young guys in there. Jalen Early, Armello, Richardson. There's a lot of guys that they feel really good about, that you don't want to combine too many guys where it feels like, hey, we're not giving you a chance for the development. So I think they've added the right pieces of what they need. Hilton can play center. He can play tackle. Daniels can play tackle or guard. You got a lot of versatility there. So I think they've done a great job there. Defensive line recruiting, I think defensive end, they done fine. They got D.D. Holmes. That's certainly a great start. I think Booker Pickens, another one that's high on the radar, also, as well as L.J. McCray. Both of those guys likely going to be fall decisions. But defensive tackle recruiting is just no other way to put it. It's not good. It doesn't look good. It feels like they're probably going to have to go in the portal to get what they want. Now they do have a loaded group of what they already have,
Yeah.
but I think right now there's certainly a lot of work to do for the defensive tackle recruiting and linebacker recruiting. I'm probably going to do a story on kind of the needs left of what FSU can finish off a 2024 class. But I think outside of that, I think defensive end, you're in good position because you want to add one more. And then I think offensive line, I think they're finished. They've got what they want. But yeah, that defensive tackle recruiting certainly needs a boost.
So I'll tack on from Cool Ranch. Is there any talented linebacker in Florida that's interested in Florida State? You just briefly touched on it, but expound a little bit, Michael.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some talented guys that they're evaluating, but I think they want to see during the season. I'm not going to sit there and list off, one by one. I'm going to wait until I start to sense some interest from FSU. I will say at linebacker, they do have Jaden Parrish. I'm very high on him. He's out of Atlantic. He's in South Florida. I think that kid's vastly underrated. A 3-star that certainly I'm very high on. I've loved his film. Heat-seeking missile, the way he attacks the ball, really good fit for what they're going to do and what they do on their defense. So I think he fits kind of that set of what they have with guys like Bethune and Deloach and Omar Graham and Nicholson and all those guys that they have already currently there. I think adding him is certainly going to help. You still need more. I think one or two more. So that might be another one where now I feel a little more comfortable with that because I think there's still guys that I'm hearing that are evaluating that they do like a lot, and I do think there's mutual interest. But I'm kind of going to wait to see once visits are set up. Then I'll start catching in and catching everyone up on that stuff. But I think overall, both of those positions, defensive tackle, linebacker, I think likely you see them go to the portal.
Yeah, that's how the world works too. The portal retention. I would think, Michael, these things are all connected. If you're a group like the Battle's End, a guy like Josh Farmer after this season will be critical to keep. So you don't have to dip into the portal for an extra body. Ditto for Patrick Payton to a degree. Linebacker, they're going to have turnover there, but it'll be fun to see what Blake Nicholson turns into, DeMarco Ward, Omar Graham, and so forth. Michael, here's a question from Corey. And this was, I believe, you're in a video with Josh Newberg on the Inside Scoop. I saw this on social media today. Talk about a collision of worlds. Do you think Lester is going to want to play both wide receiver and defensive back? You spoke about this on that program. Please tell listeners on Monday Smash what you think about Charles Lester if he came to Florida State playing both ways or offense or defense.
I think he can play both. I think he has said to me clearly DB, but I've talked to people that are around him that know him that feel like receiver is kind of the elite area that he's even better at. So I don't think it necessarily hurts or helps anyone involved. I think FSU certainly played guys that certainly can do both and play different positions. And if anybody that's good at moving around multiple positions, it's FSU.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really hurts them one way or the other. I think the main thing with Charles and why I feel good about that one is he wants to play for somebody that's winning. He wants to play. That's why Georgia's in there. That's why Alabama's in there. That's why Florida State's in there. The only one that's kind of up in the air, it would be Colorado, and I think that hurts Colorado because of there's a reason he went from Sarasota Riverview to Venice. Venice is considered one of the best teams in the state. He wants to win. Obviously, his last year he wants to win. So I think it falls same thing with the college thing. I think he wants to play for a winner, and I think FSU's shown that. I think their product of what they've done, both adding Surtain, their product as far as winning 10 games, beating teams like LSU, has really made this easier recruitment than it probably would have been if, say, they would have struggled last year and only won like 7 or 8 games. I think that certainly helps, but I don't think it really hurts either way if he plays receiver or DB. But as I told people, I told Josh on the Inside Scoop that it would not shock me eventually if he ended up at a receiver because, like I said, that's the place I think that he's most natural with. He is so good at receiver. He's so dynamic. But that's really going to be up to Charles, assuming he does pick FSU like I think he will. That's going to be up to him of what he wants to do, if he wants to do both. But he has told me when we interviewed DB, but I have a secret suspicion that he would he would be open if they said, "Hey, Charles, we need you some receiver." He'd be like, "Line me up," you know. So I think he likes receiver a lot.
Joe Smith asks, and the portal rages on now at Northwestern. Everybody's looking around anytime there's a coaching change. Well, there's discord at Northwestern. We're not going to get into the details of that. It's not pretty. But apropos, I think for Joe Smith to have a purple background, asking about Northwestern Wildcat, Nigel Glover, linebacker, one of the lead dogs in Northwestern's 2023 class. Too early to tell. Is it possible, Michael, that you could know that Florida State is interested already? What do you think?
Yeah, let me sit down and take a cup of coffee before we get into Nigel Glover, since he just jumped in today. I think it's going to take some time, Joe. I will say this: Adam Fuller has followed him on Twitter. He's certainly, whether it's previous interest or he has a previous relationship. I also saw Coach Ratliff, who's on the support staff. He also followed him. I think it's a guy that they'll look into. I have not heard anything specific that, hey, this is a guy that FSU is going to push for and definitely want. But I think the linebacker position is something they would certainly be open to if there's a guy that's the right fit. I think Nigel has a production kind of that would fit in that category of what FSU could get. I think he's a fairly young, prospect that kind of fits what I've talked about if they were going to add a linebacker. But I'll have to wait and see that if they push. For now, we just don't know if they're going to push yet.
The follows are important to follow from the outside looking in. And Florida State's always quick on the trigger when it comes to at least engaging and creating contact. So that's a good intel there. Michael, I'm going to ask you one last question before we let you go for the evening. But before I do, reiterating our sponsor here in the second week now, State Farm agent Russ Forhis, who is a longtime Nole. If you're looking for somebody business-wise in the insurance field, we have so many sponsors here who are connected to the university, support the university. Well, Russ doesn't just cover those two places that are at the bottom of the screen in Jacksonville Beach and Orange Park. Comprehensive coverage in the state of Florida, Georgia, and also Alabama. So if you live in any of those states, which is definitely in the Warchant footprint, head to russforhis.com today. This guy's helped endow a scholarship beyond being a Golden Chief booster. This is the type of Nole that you want to support. And I know, Michael, you're shaking your head. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love Russ. I mean, I will praise Russ any second I have. We've known each other for a while. Does a great job. If you're in that Jacksonville Beach or Orange Park area, this is the guy to lean on. He's trustworthy. He's going to work for you. He's got everything you're looking for. So definitely a guy that I can certainly heap some praise to as far as Russ. So if you're in the need of that, go for it, guys.
Salt of the earth. Man, now I'm starting to get old, Michael. I remember tilting back a couple of craft brews with Russ in the All Saints district 10, 12 years ago. It's crazy, but he is Warchant. If anybody who has not been on staff is Warchant, it's Russ Forhis. So head to russforhis.com today. Okay, Michael, so the last question for you tonight is something I talked to Matt about at the top of the show. There's a lot of commitments that are coming elsewhere. This is the period of the year where a lot of schools are firming up their class before they get into camp. So with that said, and other boards getting filled up, how high do you think Florida State could get by, say, the end of the first week at camp in the recruiting rankings?
Well, if they get Lester, which I think they will, and they can pull off this KJ Polton excitement, they can pull that off. And then the other guy that nobody's talking about is Jalen Lewis Solomon, is another one that's a 4-star DB that announces in August. Auburn, South Carolina seem to be the biggest competition. So if you get all three of those guys, I think you're going to be around the 4 or 3 mark.
Okay, you gave me a quick answer, so let me follow up really quickly. Solomon, would he still, if Florida State got yeses from Lester and Bolden, still a take?
Yeah, I think he would be, because he's a mixture of he can play both corner and safety. He even talked about that in the interview. He went over just about every DB position. I think that FSU loved him. He's physical. He's big. He can certainly he can stick his head in there. He doesn't mind covering. So I think he definitely would be a guy I think they would want in this class. So I think they would take all three of those guys. And if you got all three of those guys, I think that's probably a top 3 class at that moment. Wow. Now everyone's going to be adding guys, but I think at that moment it would certainly put them inside the top 5 when you're talking about a 5-star plus guy on 3 and KJ Bolden, a 5-star consensus, I think, in Charles Lesser, and then I think Solomon is a high 4-star. So you're going to be inside that range if you can pull that off.
Just in terms of the interviews you guys do when you get out there and they visit campus, Solomon was very impressive as an interviewer. He looks like he'd be a great fit. He's Michael Langston, the senior recruiting analyst for Warchant.com. Michael, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, man. And hopefully this time next year, we're talking about our trip to Dublin. That would be pretty fun.
I'm telling you, absolutely. And people don't forget, July 28th, Charles Lesser's commitment. That is something we'll be playing close eye on. And then on July 29th, FSU is hosting their Seminole Showcase, the last big event. I think it's more going to be, you'll see more juniors there, that it's kind of guys that they've seen before that they want to evaluate in an elite setting. So I think Matt Lassier and Ira Schafel will be back over by that time from Ireland. They'll be over there. I might even swing back over there if I can get over there and knock everything out. But those are a few things we have coming up. I'm also going to do a new 10 to watch. We got a few features coming up this weekend, like the 3 biggest recruiting weekends that I feel like that are key for FSU, hosting or not hosting. I think they're big deals as far as recruiting weekends. So we have that coming up, and a lot more coming up on Warchant. So stay tuned and I'm staying tuned. I want to hear all the stuff about Ireland because I can't wait.
Well, that's coming up in 15 short seconds after we break here. A short message from Russ Voorhis and State Farm agent Russ Voorhis at that. And then coverage of what the experience of a lifetime is going to be for all you Noles who want to make the trek over to Ireland in 2024 as Florida State kicks off in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic against Georgia Tech. You won't want to miss this. Here's Jeff's take on a day that includes Guinness, whiskey tasting, and oh so much more. We'll be right back on the Monday Smash right after this.
Contact Russ Voorhis for an auto quote today.
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. I am really impressed that you made it through a flight, the drive before the flight, a couple of pubs, and a whiskey tour, and you're still standing. I'm very impressed because as we're recording this, it's just about 2 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States, but it's 7 o'clock, and you've been going, I think you said 22 out of the last 24 hours, including a whiskey tour? Yeah. Sir, in your 40s, you never would have been able to pull this off. Certainly never in your 30s or your 20s. I'm very impressed.
Well, constraint. I had to, or restraint is what I had to show while we were on the road. I did it right. Just a couple of Guinness and then just a tasting, not a guzzling, but a tasting at Teeling Whiskey, which was phenomenal. And I listen, there's no doubt this is a promotional trip. And we're getting to experience a lot of cool things that Florida State fans are going to have an opportunity to experience if they so choose, depending on the various packages that are offered and all of that. This is not me being a corporate shill. This is me saying, so far the experiences we've had have been awesome. And I have to tell you, if you get a chance to go over there to that Teeling distillery, you should do it. Really knowledgeable, interesting people, can give you a history lesson on whiskey in Ireland. And it can talk about the differences between what goes on with Scotch in Scotland and whiskey in Ireland. And it was fascinating. Learned a lot, tasted a lot of great whiskey. And yes, but I was measured in my approach, very measured in my approach. And I think that is what I can stand behind, knowing that I'm still functioning, still hanging in there. I will sleep like a rock tonight by the time we're done with this steak, which will be followed by a couple of tasty, cold Guinness. If you really want to be jealous, it's not so much the experience of going to Aviva or any of those things, which is amazing, but it's the weather is so good here. The weather is so good, right? Right now, we've had sunshine, slightly overcast, high in the 60s, low tonight at 50. This is what time it is right now, buddy. This is heaven.
As I understand it, this is their season. July and August are kind of their 2 big months. But I was wondering what the temperature was in July, and there you go. So it's a high in the 60s, and it won't be much warmer when Florida State plays next year in late August, right? I mean, this is basically the kind of their summer setting.
Yeah, and yeah, that is one thing. Like the stadium, when you go into the stadium too, it's open air at the top. I described it a little bit like the old Cowboys Stadium, where they had the hole in the roof. So you get this cross breeze that comes in through the tunnels, and it's just gorgeous. When I came here on my honeymoon 18 years ago, we experienced the same thing, Tom. It was like, I think we were in late June, and it was the same thing. It never really got above 72 or 73 degrees. And it was just gorgeous with a breeze and sunny. So, yeah, the months of June, July, August, maybe the early part of September, just phenomenal. And then it starts to get a little chilly. But Ireland is a pretty country filled with really kind, warm-hearted people and a lot to do. And we're just getting started. I've got a lot that I'm going to end up recording with you. And we're going to try to get as much material between me and Ira and Aslan and Wake Up Warchant and the Jeff Cameron Show and just random stand-up videos that we do and nightly podcast summaries and things of that ilk. There should be enough cross-promotion from all of the Warchant gang that's over here where we can kind of all utilize each other's stuff and bring it back home to you guys, which is the goal. So, we're all kind of just taking turns sitting in on each other's pods, sitting in on each other's videos, trying to capture as much as we can with some really gracious hosts.
So, again, you've got the steak coming up tonight, so we won't keep you forever here for this particular segment.
Yeah, you're doing the Smash right now, right?
This is the Smash. So we open with a little bit of recruiting talk, then we pivot to this, and then there's also a little bit more of Ireland stuff before the Smash is over. So everybody kind of understands that we're recorded and on weird times. Like, what are the first impressions that you have about this place that maybe you didn't know 18 years ago and that we should know as we head out there next year?
Well, something I did remember from 18 years ago, but still forgot to pack, even though I told myself 3 times not to, is you do need adapters for your electrical outlets. Your standard plugs don't work over here. That's true of all of Europe. So it's a $5 purchase, guys. And I think they have them at like stores right there in Tallahassee. You can find them. I don't want to give anybody free pub, but there's a couple places where you can find them. Mine was $5. They had them at the front desk at the hotel. It was very convenient. I walked down there and said, "Hey, forgot my plug adapter." The guy was like, "Here you go. It's €5." It's like, okay, sounds good. So that worked out fine, but you're going to need that. One cool thing, Tom, I'll tell you what, we all have these now. And 18 years ago, I don't think I was obsessed with the cell phone. Hopefully nobody was. But anyhow, the point would be, when I inquired before I came over about what you need to do with your plans and all of that, I don't know. Everybody's got a different plan. I got AT&T. They said you don't have to do that anymore. It's $10 a day with a max of $100 total, and it's fine. I called you earlier. I've texted my family. I've texted people back home, and yourself included, and we've had really no problems. So you don't really have to make any adjustments. And same for your bank. I told my bank. The bank was like, don't worry about it. We're good.
Yeah. I've noticed that's a thing too. Banks don't really care about roaming as much anymore. So if you just go and you spend, it's automatically approved. You don't get those annoying flags. But I guess one thing, terrible segue here, but I got to go back to the beginning, the whiskey tasting. I would have thought that whiskey in Ireland, based upon what we have here in the States, I mean, there's like Redbreast, and that's about the only thing that I like. You're telling me there's actually good whiskey in Ireland. That's kind of breaking news to me.
Delicious whiskey. I wish I was drinking some right now. Hold on a second. Stay right there.
They give you a bottle?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hold on. They gave me a bunch of stuff, Tom. Hold on a second, buddy. So here you go. Like, check this out. So this is where we went, the Teeling Whiskey Distillery. And
it's sealed though, right? So you can take it home?
Oh yeah, and I got 3 different kinds right here.
Oh crap, man! Yeah, we're gonna.
I will tell you, I bought this on my own. They didn't give this to me, but I thought I'd have cause to use it. Everybody, a little hip flask for that ass.
No,
a little.
Hang on, let me go full here. What the hell am I doing?
Little hip flask.
So
yeah.
Okay, I guess what we should do then is when Bellying Up relaunches, we should do a tasting of this stuff.
Yeah, we can. I got some more stuff here. This is the snifter. Check it out, Tom. They said your boy looks good in these caps, and they gave me one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. On the back, give me a little Teeling, huh?
You should pop that sucker on. It matches your polo nicely.
Maybe I'll put that on right now.
Matches the buttons of the polo, dude.
Oh, look at your boy.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So got the Teeling whiskey. Maybe I'll wear that out tonight. I'll fit right in. And so that'll be good. But yeah. So it was a phenomenal tour. And yeah, it was, you're going to be surprised. I'm going to bring these home. You and I can taste these together.
All right.
They gave us the snifters too, Tom. And I now know something about them as well. So I can kind of break that out. I'm telling you, this has been all first class. Everybody, so the cool thing about Dublin, it's a town of 1 million people, and there's only about 5 million people in Ireland. And the funny thing about Dublin, it's just like it's a big, small city. No matter where you go, it's a circle. You end up back in the center of the city. So you really aren't going to get lost. It's not like you're wandering about and you go, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm in the wrong area of Dublin. There's no such thing. And, it's a good walking city. It's a great walking city. So I can't recommend it enough. And tomorrow we go to Waterford. We'll be out on the water, going to a Viking castle. I don't think we shoot clay pigeons tomorrow. We may be doing that Wednesday. And then we're going to be golfing at Portmarnock Links. So I've never done links golf, Tom. You know how excited I am. Aslan and I are playing that course. So we've got a lot of history things to do as well along the way, but I'll be reporting along the way. So
the great thing is I've already got 2 or 3 people asking me, make sure Cameron gives us the short list of things that we need to do when we're over there. So I'm sure when you get back, you'll have a field report of this was necessary. You could skip this if you need to, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And now the cool thing is I will have been here twice, 2 separate, pretty thorough ventures in Dublin, one from 2 decades ago and one very, very recent. I have a feeling that I think it's called the Epic Museum, which is the history of Ireland and the many peoples that have lived here and the centuries and centuries of history in Ireland. I have a feeling that's going to be a can't miss. It was not here the last time I was here. We're touring that as well. We're doing an ancestry thing. There's so many Irish Americans, and our guide here acknowledged that. Pretty interesting. One of the guys that is helping us get around and kind of talking to us about the history and places to go. His father, get this, Tom, briefly before this young lad was born, moved to the United States and was a bartender at an Irish pub in Boston for several years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he's the real deal. And we went to the pub that he manages here in Dublin today. I sent you a picture of it. So it was really cool.
That's badass, man. Yeah, my grandmother went to Boston. That's where she entered America. And then her husband entered New York. They met at a dinner party, I think, up in Boston. That was old school Catholic. It's just like the chairs are assembled. There are chaperones and people are like, may I touch your hand? Like, it's just weird stuff back 100 years ago. But it's pretty cool that you can trace it all back to the roots. I know that's going to be a big part of the trip when I get back there. But now it's steak for you. So it's whiskey, Guinness. And you haven't even brought up, how's the Guinness?
Delicious, exactly as I remember it. You're going to have 100 of them when you come out here, folks. They're just so damn good. I'm thinking about one right now. It's so fresh and cold and delicious.
The crazy thing is to apply last year's trip to New Orleans, where, remember, if you go to Bourbon Street or the casino, it was 80-20 Noles because all the LSU fans have been there, done that, so they just drive in. But it was really cool to take over a city. Dude, I can't wait. I won't know Dublin without Noles. You'll know with and without. But can you imagine the presence that we're going to be 35,000, 40,000 of those 50,000 seats. It'll be corporate people from the local part of Ireland, and then it'll be Noles. And that's pretty much it.
They're pumped about it too. Like there's a level of intrigue surrounding Florida State that they're excited about. So Notre Dame's playing here this year against Navy. And of course, they're embracing Notre Dame with the Irish Catholic history, and they're the Fighting Irish, for goodness sake. So they're very excited about Notre Dame. Notre Dame's played here before. They played here in 2012 against Navy, and I think they beat them like 50-10. Let's hope this year's game is better. But short of that, they're really pumped about Florida State because they know Florida State's good and they know the brand. And so it's pretty funny. By the way, we were walking. It's a small world, guys. We're walking to one of these pubs on the way back from the stadium going over to the distillery, and this guy turns around, was wearing a Florida State jacket, and he goes, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Tallahassee," and he's clearly American. And he's like, "Oh, we live in West Palm, but we're both Alabama graduates." And then the guy turns and he starts talking. He goes, "What do you guys do?" We tell him, and he goes, "Oh, I'm really good friends with Jeff Purinton." So some of you guys remember Jeff. He was SID here for baseball for many years. Then he went to Alabama. This guy's friends with him. We took a picture on the corner next to a pub that he sent to Purinton. I'm like, this is the smallest world ever. It's crazy. But there are plenty of Americans over here, and there's plenty of bars that cater to American football here. So it's pretty neat. Like, the Irish are starting to really embrace American football in addition to, obviously, European football and rugby.
Yeah, they love the pageantry of college football. I found that in Halifax, which is about as close as you can get to Ireland without being in Ireland in terms of, culture. And they're just enamored with the idea of college football and the chants and the rivalries.
Yeah.
More so than the bland nature of professional football. That's at least how they felt about it there.
They have bars that are dedicated to professional football here, but you're right. They're intrigued by the more collegial aspects that you just described because of the chants and the stuff that they do here too. They keep asking about the Warchant. Believe me, I said, well, it's going to echo throughout this place resoundingly.
Yeah, you'll be sick of it within 2 days, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to go eat steak, everybody. Be well, and I'll be checking back in, obviously, from time to time here, and Tom will hold down the fort until I get back. To all the Seminole Headlines listeners, thank you guys as well. So I'm meeting Ira and Aslan downstairs right now in the lobby, where we will be chauffeured off to this Fire Steakhouse. Should be great. And then it's a few cold Guinness and a bed.
There it is. A few cold Guinness and a bed. I think that's a good way to live as we're watching now. The Monday Smash presented by Russ Voorhis, State Farm agent Russ Voorhis. A longtime Seminole, somebody you should support. There's the link at the bottom, russvoorhis.com. Wanted to make you guys aware of something before we sign off tonight. We'll give you some more sights of what it looks like at Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Right there, you get a recounting from our own Jeff Cameron. But Aslan goes to work and shows you some of the footage behind the scenes of Aviva Stadium in Dublin, and Jeff and Ira paint the picture with a video we're going to release tomorrow, a Warchant report, but you're going to see it in advance tonight. It's about 4.5 minutes here on Warchant TV. But remember, this Wednesday, Warchant members, it's Warchant Days. 25% off purchases from the College Vault at Garnet and Gold. Garnet and Gold and Warchant have partnered for this upcoming year, even bigger and better than we've done before. We love our friends at Garnet and Gold. It's locally owned in in Tallahassee, locally owned by Florida State grads, people who support Florida State's programs, athletic programs. This is not a national store that makes money off of FSU gear. These are local folks here in Tallahassee at Garnet and Gold. And so they pass the savings on to you if you're a Warchant subscriber. 25% off this Wednesday only. Subscribe to warchant.com, and the membership's going to pay for itself, folks. It should also be noted that Warchant Days are going to happen once a month at Garnet and Gold. We'll send you the code each month. But Warchant subscribers receive a 10% discount from Garnet and Gold off of every single purchase. As long as you remember, you save 10%. That is unbeatable. We thank Matt Lasser, Michael Langston for chiming in on the program tonight, letting us know what the latest is with recruiting. Our own Jeff Cameron. And now you're going to hear from Jeff, Ira, and Aslan to sign off tonight's show. This is a field report from Aviva Stadium. You get an advance look. It's tomorrow's news today, and it's on the Monday Smash presented by russvoorhis.com. And Russ Voorhis, a great State Farm agent serving Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. Here's the footage, and we'll talk to you on Warchant TV next time after this.
Welcome in, boys and girls. Warchant TV, warchant.com, and here we stand at Aviva Stadium, where Florida State will play in 2024 against Georgia Tech. But most notably, Ira, not only have we been graciously hosted here, we have learned the history of this great stadium, and it's pretty overwhelming. It is something to behold. Hopefully you can get a sense of that as you watch this video. They've been playing sport here since 1872, and we watched really the origins of this, and we saw the stadium built over time. Then we also saw a video in which they tore it down and built this magnificent creation, and this is going to be a fun place to watch a football game.
Yeah, we talk about the history of sporting events and venues in the States, and a lot of times those histories go maybe to the early 1900s or mid-1900s, but yeah, you're talking back to the 1800s. And then also just this site, during wartime, they've assembled troops here. They've done, during COVID, they had A lot of the efforts for the civilians were here. It's part of the community. I mean, you can't really
part
see
of the community, yeah.
There are houses right past this stadium. It's really part of the community. A lot of the people who come to the games here, and they play a lot of English football and rugby games, they just walk from their community, from the neighborhood into the stadium. It's really the history, you can kind of feel it, but it's also a very modern stadium. It was just built about 12 or 13 years ago, reconstructed, and it's beautiful, man. It's as beautiful as any stadium we've ever been in.
One of the things that really stands out, and you're great to point out the community aspect of this. So when you're in Dublin, one of the things that you'll love is, first of all, the people are great, but there is a community sense here. You're around the restaurants and the pubs. It's all right here surrounding the stadium. So you come from the airport like we just did before getting here. 20 minutes later, you're at your hotel. You're in a beautiful community of Dublin. You're at a pub. You're walking to the stadium. You're pre-gaming. You're having a great time. And then once you're in the stadium, depending on where you're sitting, one of the things that really stands out about this stadium is how close you are to the action. So unlike American stadiums that can be pushed off in the back a little bit here, if you're sitting right here just behind where your camera is, you are on top of the action. And really, anywhere you look here is a great view. So there's not a bad seat either.
Yeah, it's so close to the action. They're going to have to make some accommodations because the teams will be right here and the fans are right there.
Yeah,
so they're going to have to make some accommodations for it because it's, in American football, obviously you have 100 players on a team. It's just going to be a different scene. But one of the cool things we saw behind the scenes, and we'll have a lot more of this coming in videos that Aslan's producing, but how they've retrofitted some of the elements underneath the stadium for the locker rooms, for first-class training, athletic training, for medical x-raying and all those types of things. It's really state-of-the-art. But again, what's cool here, I mean, to me, what really hits you is the history and you almost can feel the energy here. Like I know the game's 13 months away. I think it's August 24, 2024. The Florida State and Georgia Tech are going to play in the stadium. But you can almost feel, like you were just saying a few minutes ago, when the war chant gets going. And
it will echo throughout this stadium. It's amazing to think about. And you're right, it's such an intimate setting. I can only imagine how loud Florida State fans will be for this game and how this will reverberate throughout when you think of the war chant. But also, one of the things that I also notice is the great pride that they have in this stadium, and you can see why. As you learn more about it, and you learn they play 25 games or so a year here between rugby and soccer. We know that, and then they have concerts as well. I joked with Tom back home that nobody's safe from Taylor Swift. She sold out this venue as well next year for three nights. Imagine that, yeah. So there it is. But you guys will be here in 2024, and you won't regret it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and entertainment acts. So Michael Jackson played in this venue. Frank Sinatra played in this venue.
Frank Sinatra.
Old Blue
Sammy
Eyes.
Davis Jr. with him, by the way.
So it's really. I mean, again, that's like, I don't know, man. I'm just blown away by the whole thing. I mean, it's we've been in so many stadiums, and a lot of them are new, but they feel new. But when you know the history of what has happened on this site, it kind of gives a different dynamic.
Yeah, different flavor for a football game and a fun one, and you're going to want to check it out. But I will say this is the first of many videos that we're going to have for you, like Ira alluded to. So be checking back in. As always, make sure you like and subscribe, thumbs up. Get yourself caught up with everything that's going on with Florida State football, which includes a game in Ireland here in Dublin, Aviva Stadium 2024.